the School of Athens. Imagine stepping into a grand hall where the very minds of antiquity seem to come alive. The air is heavy with the whispers of philosophers, mathematicians, and thinkers long gone, yet their presence feels palpable. This is the School of Athens, Raphael's masterwork, completed between 1509 and 1511 in the Apostolic Palace in Vatican City, a painting that would immortalize the intellectual heartbeat of the Renaissance. At the time, Raphael was only in his mid-20s, yet the commission was monumental. Pope Julius II, seeking to decorate the stanza della Segnatura, entrusted Raphael with the task of encapsulating the essence of human knowledge. Raphael, aware of the gravity of the project, approached it with both awe and determination. Every brushstroke carried his ambition to honor the great minds of antiquity while asserting his own genius. The creation of the fresco was no easy feat. Raphael had to reconcile rigorous perspective with an imaginative assembly of figures, each one vibrant, individualized, yet harmoniously placed within a grand architectural setting inspired by classical Rome. He studied ancient sculptures and architectural designs to craft the illusion of three-dimensionality on a flat surface. The challenge was immense: to give life to philosophers from Plato to Zoroaster in a single coherent vision. As he painted, Raphael immersed himself in the personalities of these intellectual giants. Plato, pointing to the heavens, embodies his metaphysical ideals, while Aristotle gestures toward the earth, emphasizing empirical observation. Socrates engages his students with piercing inquiry, and the mysterious figure of Diogenes sprawls lazily, defying conventional decorum. Raphael's meticulous attention to gestures, expressions, and postures conveys a narrative of thought, debate, and curiosity, a silent symphony of intellect. The fresco reflects not only Raphael's technical mastery but also the turbulent yet exhilarating atmosphere of the High Renaissance. Rome was the epicenter of art, religion, and philosophy. Political power and artistic innovation collided in the Vatican, and Raphael's fresco became both a homage to the ancients and a reflection of contemporary aspirations. The figures themselves were inspired by Raphael's contemporaries. Legend suggests that Leonardo da Vinci appears as Plato, while Bramante may have inspired Euclid, blending history with subtle artistic commentary. Symbolism permeates the painting. The arrangement of figures forms a balance between contemplation and action, theory and practice. The classical architecture frames the scene, suggesting that human reason and creativity rise above temporal concerns. Each philosopher's pose, each subtle gaze, is a story in itself, a meditation on knowledge, inquiry, and human potential. Even the central vanishing point, where Raphael's mastery of linear perspective converges, seems to symbolize the pursuit of understanding, a meeting place of minds across time. Upon completion, the School of Athens was met with admiration and reverence. Its influence on future generations of artists and intellectuals is immeasurable. It represents the pinnacle of Renaissance ideals: harmony, balance, and the celebration of human intellect. Raphael's genius is evident not just in his technique, but in the emotional resonance of the scene. Viewers feel the energy of discourse, the tension of debate, and the quiet exhilaration of discovery. In the end, the fresco is more than a depiction of philosophers. It is a visual manifesto of the Renaissance spirit. The grandeur of the architecture, the dynamism of the figures, and the profound depth of thought converge to create an immortal celebration of knowledge. As you gaze upon the School of Athens, you are transported into a world where human curiosity knows no bounds, and the echoes of ancient wisdom resonate through time, inviting you to ponder, question, and dream. The Sistine Madonna. The moment you step before the Sistine Madonna, time seems to suspend. The delicate interplay of divinity and humanity radiates from the canvas, a luminous testament to Raphael's unparalleled mastery. Painted between 1512 and 1513, this masterpiece was commissioned by Pope Julius II for the Church of San Sisto in Piacenza. Yet the journey to its creation was as profound as the painting itself. Raphael, at the height of his genius, was tasked with portraying the Madonna with Christ, flanked by saints, and hovering above them, the enigmatic cherubs that have since captured the imagination of the world. For Raphael, this was not merely a commission, it was a spiritual and artistic challenge, a meditation on divine grace and maternal love. He approached the canvas with reverence, sketching, studying, and refining every detail to convey both sacred majesty and human intimacy. The creation of the Sistine Madonna was a labor of contemplation and emotion. Raphael was grappling with the Renaissance's complex intersection of humanism and faith. How could he depict a celestial figure who was both approachable and divine? The solution lay in his nuanced understanding of human emotion. The Madonna's gaze is serene yet penetrating, bridging heaven and earth, while the Christ child clings to her with tender vulnerability. The saints below, Saint Sixtus and Saint Barbara, turn toward the divine vision, their gestures and expressions perfectly balancing awe, humility, and devotion. Raphael's technique amplifies the painting's emotional power. His mastery of oil on canvas allows subtle gradations of light to illuminate the Madonna's face, creating a sense of ethereal presence. The flowing drapery, rendered in delicate blues and reds, suggests both movement and gravity, while the soft clouded backdrop conveys weightless divinity. The cherubs at the bottom, resting their chins on their hands, add a touch of human wonder, a gentle reminder that even the divine inspires reflection and curiosity. Historically, the Sistine Madonna was painted during a period of artistic and religious transformation. Europe was awakening to Renaissance ideals, classical harmony, proportion, and perspective, while the Church sought to assert spiritual authority. Raphael's painting became a bridge between these worlds, the composition grounded in classical symmetry, yet the emotional resonance elevating it beyond mere representation. He infused the work with a narrative tension, the silent dialogue between the earthly and the heavenly, inviting viewers to step into a contemplative space where faith and humanity intersect. Symbolism weaves through every element. The Madonna embodies purity and wisdom, her forward gaze an invitation to seek spiritual understanding. Christ, as both vulnerable child and symbol of salvation, is the focal point of devotion. The saints' gestures direct our attention, guiding the viewer's spiritual journey, while the cherub's innocent gaze encourages reflection on wonder, curiosity, and innocence. Raphael's subtle integration of perspective and light emphasizes the transcendence of the divine while grounding the scene in tangible human emotion. Upon its unveiling, the painting was met with reverence and acclaim. Its influence radiated far beyond Piacenza, inspiring countless artists and defining ideals of religious art for generations. Yet the true genius lies not only in its technique, but in its ability to evoke a profound emotional response. Viewers feel a quiet stirring as if the divine presence has softly whispered into the room, leaving them suspended between awe and contemplation. The Sistine Madonna is more than a painting. It is a bridge between human longing and divine grace. Every brushstroke, every fold of fabric, every glance of the figures contributes to an immersive experience. Raphael captured not just the image of Madonna and child, but the intangible sensation of reverence, wonder, and the eternal dialogue between heaven and earth. As your eyes rest upon this masterpiece, you are drawn into a timeless encounter, a silent, powerful communion with beauty, divinity, and the depths of human emotion. The Three Graces. As you gaze upon the Three Graces, an almost hypnotic harmony emerges, drawing the viewer into a world of elegance, myth, and subtle emotion. Painted around 1504 to 1505, this masterpiece represents Raphael's early immersion into classical antiquity, blending Renaissance humanism with the timeless beauty of Greco-Roman ideals. Yet behind the serene figures lies a story of obsession, discovery, and the relentless pursuit of perfection. The creation of the Three Graces coincided with a period when Raphael was deeply exploring classical mythology. He was captivated by ancient sculpture and literature, especially the representations of ideal beauty and proportion. These inspirations fueled both fascination and inner turmoil. Raphael sought to create a painting that was not merely decorative, but a living embodiment of grace, movement, and harmony. The three elegantly intertwined female figures, representing charm, beauty, and creativity, emerge from a delicate, luminous backdrop, poised in a dance that feels both spontaneous and perfectly orchestrated. Raphael's emotional state during the painting's conception was one of intensity. He meticulously studied anatomy, posture, and balance, sketching countless preliminary drawings to capture the subtle interplay of light on human skin and the fluidity of their gestures. There was a tension between his reverence for classical ideals and his desire to breathe life into these forms. Each brushstroke reflects a dance between discipline and inspiration, between the calculated and the intuitive. The result is a composition that feels simultaneously natural and transcendent, a perfect visual poem of symmetry, motion, and intimacy. The artistic process itself demonstrates Raphael's mastery of Renaissance techniques. He employed delicate oil glazing to achieve a luminous softness, enhancing the ethereal quality of skin tones and the flowing drapery. Subtle shifts of light and shadow sculpt the figures in three-dimensional space, creating depth and presence. The composition is circular yet dynamic, leading the eye from one figure to another, evoking the rhythm of movement and the continuity of life itself. Even the background, a muted landscape, contributes to the overall balance, providing context without distraction, highlighting the figures as both mythological and profoundly human. Historically, the Three Graces reflects the cultural and intellectual climate of early 16th century Italy. The Renaissance fascination with classical antiquity fueled artistic experimentation and innovation, and Raphael's work embodies this synthesis. He translated the ideals of harmony, proportion, and beauty into a visual language that resonated with contemporary audiences while influencing generations to come. The painting represents more than aesthetic perfection. It is a philosophical meditation on the nature of grace, interconnectedness, and human aspiration toward ideal forms. Symbolism runs deep in the work. The three figures represent the classical virtues of charm, beauty, and creativity, yet Raphael imbues them with warmth and relatability, bridging the divine and the earthly. Their gentle embrace suggests unity and the interdependence of human virtues, while the subtle variations in posture and gaze convey individual personality and expression. The painting becomes a meditation on relationships, between people, between ideals and reality, and between the mortal and the transcendent. Upon its unveiling, the Three Graces was celebrated for its elegance, clarity, and compositional brilliance. Scholars and admirers praised Raphael's ability to harmonize classical inspiration with Renaissance humanism, elevating the painting to an emblem of refined artistry. Over time, it became a benchmark for grace and beauty, studied by artists and revered by collectors, immortalizing Raphael's early genius and his unique capacity to merge intellect, emotion, and aesthetics. The Three Graces is a timeless celebration of form, harmony, and human aspiration. Each figure's subtle curve, each interplay of light and shadow, every detail of gesture speaks to the delicate balance of life, beauty, and emotion. As your eyes follow the intertwined forms, you are drawn into Raphael's vision, a world where elegance is both an ideal and an intimate truth, where grace is not just seen but felt, resonating across centuries, leaving viewers in awe of the artist's transcendent mastery. Self-portrait. A solitary figure stares back from the canvas. Raphael himself, captured not as an idealized hero, but as a man of profound introspection, intellect, and quiet intensity. Painted around 1506 to 1507, self-portrait reveals the artist not only as a master of beauty and form but also as a deeply reflective observer of life, grappling with ambition, mortality, and the burden of genius. The creation of this self-portrait coincided with a pivotal moment in Raphael's life. Having achieved early acclaim in Urbino and Florence, he was beginning to navigate the complex political and social networks of Rome. His success brought both opportunity and pressure, expectations from patrons, competition from contemporaries, and his own relentless pursuit of perfection. Raphael's emotional state was a blend of confidence, contemplation, and the quiet anxiety that accompanies ambition. Every brushstroke reveals a mind at work, a soul reflecting upon itself, seeking both understanding and expression. Raphael's artistic process in crafting this self-portrait was meticulous. He sought to capture more than physical likeness. He aimed to render the inner world, the intelligence, sensitivity, and subtle emotional currents of the artist himself. Using delicate oil layering techniques, he achieved a soft glow to the skin and a depth to the eyes that conveys both awareness and vulnerability. The lighting is gentle yet dramatic, casting shadows that contour the face and lend a three-dimensional realism. Raphael's careful modulation of color, warm ochres, muted reds, and earthy browns, creates harmony while emphasizing the quiet dignity of his subject. The historical and social context of this portrait is key to understanding its power. Florence and Rome were hotbeds of artistic rivalry, philosophical debate, and cultural transformation. Raphael was immersed in humanist thought, absorbing ideas about individuality, morality, and the potential of human achievement. The portrait is both a personal statement and a reflection of the Renaissance ideal, a synthesis of intellect, aesthetic sensitivity, and moral presence. By portraying himself with clarity and subtle introspection, Raphael asserts the artist's role not just as a creator of beauty, but as a thinker, a participant in the grand dialogue of human civilization. Symbolism imbues the work with layered meaning. The gaze, direct yet contemplative, suggests self-awareness and introspection. The slightly turned head conveys both modesty and attentiveness, while the subdued attire emphasizes Raphael's focus on thought and intellect rather than ostentation. In this painting, Raphael confronts the duality of the artist's existence, the tension between public acclaim and private reflection, between human frailty and the striving for perfection. Every nuance, from the shadowed eyes to the relaxed hands, speaks to a delicate equilibrium between confidence and humility. Upon its initial reception, self-portrait intrigued contemporaries and later generations alike. It was not merely a record of physical appearance but a revelation of personality, intellect, and emotional depth. Art historians have since praised it as a profound meditation on identity, the artist's place in the world, and the human capacity for self-reflection. It inspired countless other self-portraits, setting a standard for psychological depth and technical mastery. Self-portrait endures as a timeless testament to Raphael's genius, not only in painting but in the art of seeing and understanding. As viewers, we are invited into the intimate space of his consciousness, feeling the weight of ambition, the clarity of vision, and the serenity that comes from self-awareness. The canvas becomes a mirror, reflecting not just Raphael, but the universal quest to understand oneself, to reconcile inner thought with outer reality, and to find beauty in both observation and creation. The Marriage of the Virgin. In the quiet town of Città di Castello, a scene of sacred intimacy unfolds, a moment suspended between human devotion and divine grace. Raphael's The Marriage of the Virgin, painted in 1504, captures not just a biblical event, but a profound meditation on order, beauty, and the harmonious balance between heaven and earth. At first glance, the scene seems serene and ceremonial, yet beneath its surface lies a subtle tension, the interplay of human emotion, societal expectation, and spiritual destiny. Raphael approached this commission with a combination of youthful ambition and deep reverence. He was in his early 20s, yet already possessed remarkable mastery over composition, perspective, and emotional expression. The task demanded not only technical skill but a profound understanding of religious narrative, social custom, and human psychology. Raphael's emotional state during its creation was a complex mix of determination, awe, and intellectual excitement. Each stroke was infused with the urgency of a young artist striving to leave a lasting mark, aware that this work could define his emerging reputation. The artistic process behind The Marriage of the Virgin is a testament to Raphael's genius. He applied meticulous linear perspective, drawing the eye toward the central vanishing point, the high priest officiating the ceremony. The architecture of the temple is rendered with precision, its harmonious lines reinforcing the stability and sanctity of the scene. Color is carefully orchestrated. The cool blues and warm reds of the garments create contrast and rhythm, while the soft golds and earthy tones anchor the composition. Raphael's figures are animated yet poised, their gestures expressive yet controlled, conveying subtle psychological interactions, hesitation, reverence, curiosity, and devotion. Every detail, from the delicate folds of fabric to the intricate architectural carvings, serves both aesthetic and narrative purposes. The historical and cultural context further amplifies the painting's significance. Renaissance Italy valued the convergence of humanist ideals, religious devotion, and aesthetic perfection. Raphael, trained under the influence of Perugino and immersed in the flourishing artistic culture of Umbria, was navigating these currents with an extraordinary blend of insight and innovation. In this context, The Marriage of the Virgin is both a devotional piece and a celebration of intellectual order, the harmony of geometry, perspective, and human behavior reflecting the divine order itself. Symbolism in the painting is layered and profound. The central placement of the high priest, the alignment of the temple, and the positioning of Mary and Joseph underscore the intersection of divine plan and human choice. The surrounding figures, captured in mid-gesture, reflect the social dynamics and moral codes of the time, reminding viewers that sacred events unfold within human society. The temple itself, towering and symmetrical, becomes a metaphor for the balance between spiritual aspiration and earthly structure, suggesting that beauty, virtue, and faith are inseparable. Upon its unveiling, The Marriage of the Virgin garnered admiration for its clarity, harmony, and emotional depth. Patrons and critics praised Raphael's ability to synthesize narrative, architecture, and human expression into a single cohesive vision. Over the centuries, the painting has influenced generations of artists, embodying the ideals of Renaissance composition and the enduring power of religious storytelling. Raphael's work invites the viewer into a space where divinity and humanity coexist seamlessly. The scene's quiet grandeur and the subtle interplay of human emotion remind us that even the simplest ceremonies can reflect the eternal. As the figures stand poised in their sacred act, we sense the timeless tension between personal feeling and communal expectation, between earthly reality and divine presence. The painting becomes a meditation on life itself, a reminder that every moment carries the potential for beauty, significance, and transcendence. The Marriage of the Virgin endures not only as a masterwork of technique and composition, but as a profound exploration of human emotion, divine order, and the eternal pursuit of harmony. Raphael's vision continues to resonate, inviting us to witness the sacred in the ordinary, and the extraordinary in the carefully observed details of life.